This is TWiT.
What I was going to say was I've kind of lost track of the history of this. Before the pandemic, Microsoft was working on these Surface Hub devices, right? Which are kind of
which were a hit.
Yeah, at the time when we were all going into businesses or meeting rooms together, and they were doing great.
Projectors and replacing a whiteboard, and all in one.
Before this, they had, remember, it was like a Pixel Sense display, and now they use the term Pixel Sense to describe Surface PC displays.
The original Surface was that crazy table that Alex
the big table
that didn't work on stage, right?
Right, right, and was the type of thing a hotel or a casino would buy. But not the type of thing a person would buy, right? And so it
was broken the moment you installed it.
Yeah. Well, it was by design. It was fine.
I remember seeing like on cruise ships. I saw them in hotels in Vegas.
Yeah. There were some cool demos for it. I'd like the return to the sit-down Pac-Man style machine where you could be across from someone and both, when you switch players, the screen was swapped so they could play or whatever. Kind of resembled that to me, but Surface Hub, the first version, 50-ish and 80-ish inch screens, I forget. But then right before the pandemic, they announced Surface Hub, I guess 2.
Yep.
And this is the one where it was like on an easel and you could string 3 of them together and have one big screen. It was going to be amazing. And then it was, the pandemic. So
then the world ended. Yeah.
Yeah. So tied to this, I sort of forget the OSs, but the original Surface Hub had like a Teams edition of Windows 10, I would imagine, and then of course in time they had a Windows-based OS. I think it was like Surface OS or whatever that they were going to use as they kind of evolve these things. But the original Surface Hub is now 10 years old. So in October it's going end of life, and there's no upgrade for it. You can't put Linux on it. There's no real plans for this thing. So
I didn't imagine it just bursts into flames either. It's just going to get no updates.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I mean, but as software evolves and, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I suppose given the nature of this device, maybe it's not as big of a problem as say with a PC, but it's interesting. It's been that long. I mean, to me, it's just like, wow, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the probable thing for a 2015 Surface Hub is it hasn't been turned on in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, now that people are returning to the office is now a thing. It's the hot new trend in offices, actually using the office. We'll see.
The thing the pandemic did is it gave everybody a camera rig and experience with sharing software. Like now the question is, do you need to go into the meeting room?
Yeah. Well, I think being in person is the point of this return to office thing, actually. So maybe, I mean,
which also begs the question, what do you need that thing for? Because that was always about somebody's not in the office and others are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, depending on the business, there will probably still be people around in the office, but if that's not the case, it's still a big display, right? I mean, I suppose you could just as a display or whatever. Remote your display to it.
The other thing about thinking about 2015 is like, think about how much better camera gear is, or the 3D sensors. Like if you could afford one of those things in the first place, and they were not cheap, you can afford, you're either out of business and you don't care, or you one anyway.
I'm going to forget the details of this too, because again, pre-pandemic, and it just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. But the original like Surface Hub 2, 2S, whatever they were called, we got a really good. It was one of the last. Yeah, it was one of the last things I did before the pandemic, I think. But they did these in-person demos where these things actually had USB-C ports all around the edges, and you could plug in like a webcam. If it was oriented this way, you could pop it up on the top, and they had lots of sensors and all that kind of stuff. And they would do palm rejection when you were writing on the screen, and they get multiple people writing on the screen at the same time, et cetera, et cetera. It's cool stuff, but they, like I said, the OSs have evolved. Surface Hub 2S is from 3-4 years later. I think it originally ran on the same Windows 10 Team version that the OG Surface Hub ran on, but you can migrate that to what's now called Teams Rooms for Windows. Whatever, I don't know. So there's still, this may be a business that kind of springs back to life for them just because of the way work has changed.
There's a ton of competitors now, right? There's all kinds of smart boards, near hub, like Microsoft.
But Google killed Google killed theirs.
Yeah, so they had a silly name. What was that thing called? It began with a J, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Jam something?
Jamboard. Yeah, it was Jamboard. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so it was kind of like the Chrome OS version of this, and that might meet a certain need too if they still made it. But this will always have a place, I think, in big enterprises and
Yeah, but I think they also want to get it from a conventional vendor, right? Like Microsoft should get out.
I mean, like an actual display vendor. Yeah. What a thought. Yeah. I mean, that's probably going to be a lot, and is today a lot more common, obviously. But.
There you go. Surface Hub 3 85-inch with pens and smart camera, $32,000.
Yeah.
Jeez, forget it.
The original one, I think, was just north of 20 when they announced. Maybe it was 18 at first, then it went above 20. But even
so they figured, it's enterprises. They pay $10,000 for their Cisco Zoom room, so. They'll pay
I don't think it was like
this.
I don't think it was like a cynical like how much could we charge?
It really did cost that much.
I think they were expensive.
85-inch screens are big,
expensive. I mean, like even Surface PCs, like the Surface Studio, everyone sees that and says, "Yeah, okay, but I just want the screen." And it's like, okay, well, the PC is $3,500. Just the screen is going to be $3,300. Like it's the most expensive component by far. It's more expensive than all of the other components. Like it's really expensive. Yeah. But
you spend that much money though. You hate to hear it's at its end of life.
Yeah.
Well,
well, at least you didn't have like a 4 or 5 year period where you couldn't even use it, so it's fine. What are you going to do?
Get back to like, why would you buy one of these when everybody has a camera and a screen and sharing software and it's
turned out to be no
kind
market.
of an obsolete concept now.
Yeah,
it beautifully solved a problem that was becoming irrelevant.
That's right. That's the Microsoft story in a nutshell. So I guess, I don't know.
No, it was a boardroom piece. It was cooler than a projector, right? It was you wanted that Tony Stark sort of interactive effect.
Yeah.
One would argue now you should go the meta way, and everybody puts on a
we should all sit in the same room with Boba Fett helmets on our heads and not see each other.
Because that's not dystopic at all.
Oh, what a world! What a world!
I know. Someday I can't wait to. We'll be sitting on the couch watching a movie. My wife and I, or you and your wife, or whatever, and you'll be talking through a microphone. You'll actually get up to go to the bathroom and be like, "Oh, I forgot what you looked like. What happened,
honey? I'm over here, honey. I'm on the couch."
Yeah. I am your father.
It's like, where startups get too much money, right? Where they're getting an A round of $25 million. And so consistently I have a CEO coming at me going, how do I build the ultimate boardroom? Like we're going to go get this exotic wood table and so forth. But the hardware, I need it to be special.
Yeah.
What does Putin use? Because that looks pretty cool.
I would imagine that in those scenarios, whatever he's using gets updated every 2 weeks. The problem is they spend all this money on something and then you want to use it for years, as you would, and it's out of date. It's pretty quick. But that's technology. I don't know.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me, Leo Laporte. I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet from Windows Weekly. If you want to see more and want to catch the whole show, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast client or visit our website, twit.tv/WW. And of course, there's links right below me.